Hi, welcome back guys again. This is the 5th video and I think this is going to be the final video. So far what we've had is we've obviously modelled the concrete barrier, we've created the texture including the ambient occlusion, we've created the normal map, the specular map, we've added a small amount of detail to it, and we've put both the model and the texture together so it all sinks in nicely. This is where we left off, obviously the textured model in Blender. It's all well and good being there, but we want to get it into Reloaded. So what we need to do now is export this bad boy using Blender's DirectX exporter. Then we need to just like tweak it a little bit, make sure it's the right size, make sure the textures are assigned properly, basically create the FPE it's the small script. I think it's FPE stands for first person entity script, I think. So that's where it houses all information, where it tells the model where to find the texture, what shader to use, etc, etc. So this is the model, this is the texture. We're not going to be needing this window open anymore. So what you need to do is just get your mouse cursor on these little lines here. You see just in the corner, you see those 3 lines. Put it so you see a cross, click and drag across, you'll see an arrow. You want the arrow facing the other way, which means this window is going to fly off to the left and then let go. And there you go. So that's got rid of that window for you. Now, Blender, I'm not sure, I'm not 100% whether the DirectX exporter is included in the most recent builds. I honestly don't know. I always sort of tend to add it myself, I think. So we can find it from here, wiki.blender.org. Yeah, basically you can find it from here. I'll put, again, as always, I'll put the link in the description so you can find it here. This has got all the necessary information about the exporter itself, how to import it, how to basically make the script work for yourself. So yeah, that's that anyway. So after you've done that, you've got your model here. Just give it a quick save, always save. I haven't saved anywhere near enough throughout this entire tutorial series, but I have no excuse. I'm pretty lame. I should save, but I don't. Hey ho. Right, so with your model entirely in object mode, with it all selected, what we need to do is you need to go to File, Export, DirectX. Now if you can't see this, it means it's not activated or turned on in your user preferences. So in order to activate it, you go to File, User Preferences, click on that one, you see this little window here. Make sure you go to the 4th one in, smack bang in the middle, Add-ons, and then on this side panel just on the left here, Import Export, and then you'll see the Import Export DirectX format. That's just an importer that I'm trying to do things with at the moment. It's not 100% working, but it works to an extent. So the one you need is Import Export. That will be greyed out, it'll look like that. You just need to tick that little box there. That's fine, that's all you need to do. Save user settings, and it means every time you load up Blender, that will be ticked. If you don't do that, every time you load up Blender you'll have to come in and tick that box again. Just save user settings, just hammer that just to make sure it's on. Yep, you saved, good. So, like I said, File, Export, scroll down, you'll see it at the bottom there, DirectX. I'm just going to scroll to, not scroll, I'm going to guide myself, tutorial files, and I'm going to create a new directory. I'm going to create a new one. What I'm going to call it is simply concrete barrier. Okay, so what I'm also going to do is highlight that text and copy that text and then enter. And I'll explain why I'm doing that in a minute. So we go into that folder we've just created, concretebarrier.x, absolutely fine, export, really quick, fantastic, minimize Blender. Now, you probably already downloaded the software I told you to download at the very beginning of the tutorial, which was Entity Workshop version 2.0. Here it is. This is where it comes in. I bet you've been wondering, why have I got this? Jay, why have I got this installed on my PC? What am I going to do with it? This is what I use just to get the scaling right. This is phenomenal. I mean, this will actually create the FPEs for you as well, and it'll assign the textures and stuff. I haven't tried it completely for Reloaded, because Reloaded uses different shaders and all the rest of that jazz. I mean, the FPEs are still very, very similar, but again, I just use this just for scaling. Now, once it's open like this, you'll see this little man here. Click the little man, and he is the same size as an average NPC will be in FPS. So, you see these two folders here. One of them, you'll see the information up here. The first one is import entity template. Opens an entity template in the workshop. This is just any DirectX file, regardless of scale, and it will pretty much let you, using these particular buttons, scale it up or down on the X, scale it up or down on the Y, scale it up or down on the Z. So you can scale your entity and you can go save, and it saves it to the folder you've saved, yada yada yada. The one we're going to be using, actually no, I'll just show you what it does. So open that, direct yourself to tutorial files, concrete barrier, and there we are, DirectX. DirectX, open, and you'll see, there it is. Now, for me, that looks a little bit small, so you can scale it up until it's about waist height, which is, I think, where these things are supposed to be. It's supposed to be about 1 meter tall, about 1.10 meters. So yeah, it's supposed to be about there, which is good. Yeah, that's fine. Now, we could save, and then go through the rigmarole of changing the FPE or getting all the text into the right folders and yada 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 yada. We're not going to do that. I want to show you how large you have to scale things inside Blender for it to work inside FPS Creator. So, if we go down here, this is an, up at the top, remember, however, FPSC entity import an FPSC ready entity. So basically that means you're not going to be adjusting the scale of it. The scale will be perfect, it's the correct model format, you don't have to change anything. It's already been UV mapped, absolutely everything. So if we do the same thing, click on there, go to my desktop, tutorial files, concrete barrier, there's my concrete barrier.x. Now you saw the size of the thing when I booted it in previously on the other option. This, if I just exported my model now and then imported it straight into Reloaded, this is the size it would be. Can you see it? Can you see that? I'll zoom in a bit just so you can see it. I'll move the camera down. Look! That's going to block him. That's going to really block him. He can't go anywhere. He's stuck. He's stuck on my concrete barrier. Now I bet you're thinking, oh, let's just boost it up. Okay, let's boost it up as far as it'll go. That's as far as it'll go. Up on the X. And up on the Z. Yep, that's definitely got him. It's got him. He's trapped. He can't move anywhere because of our secure concrete barrier. No, that's ridiculous. So, as you can see, it needs to be quite large. If we just jump back into Blender, you'll see obviously this. Inside the Blender viewport, you can see the grid. That's useless for scale for us. What we need to do is, if you just go into front orthographic, oh, there's the background picture, and then what we need to do is get this, I don't know what this is called, the cursor, I suppose. What we need to do is get that smack bang in the center, and the easiest way to do it, rather than going like, I think that's it, you just press Shift S, and it brings up this snap. You just press cursor to center, and it puts it straight on the center. And then what we need to do is Control A to add a new mesh, and we're going to add a plane. You see this orange line here? That's just a one-sided plane. So if we go underneath it, it's see-through, but on top you can just see the whites of it there. Now we're just going to be using this plane to scale our model. Okay, so we need to get the plane to the correct scale for us to actually work with. Now in order to do this, we press N to bring up the Properties tab, scroll all the way to the top, and then you'll see in this Dimensions section, not Location, not Rotation, not Scale, but Dimensions. This is the real life dimensions. So what we need to do is, on the X, Click on there and go 100, and then tab. You'll see how big it goes. And then again on the Y, 100. Okay, and the Z can just remain at 0. It's just a single plane, that's fine. Enter, so it should be on the dimensions X100, Y100, Z 0. Okay, so now you're wondering, what the hell is this? This white square, this plane that we've just added, is the exact dimensions coming from Blender to one floor plate, one floor square, one floor scale, I don't know what you want to call it, but that's one square in FPS Creator. So yeah, it's pretty big. So, with that being said, we need to scale it up proportionally. So if you right click on your model, zoom out, and then press S with your cursor somewhere near your model, not too close, just at the side of it, press S, just tap it, and then drag. Now these things are usually pretty big, they're about 2 meters long. I believe the dimensions for the squares or the floor plates inside FPS, I think they're about 8 foot. So we want this to be about there. Okay, mine's reading on the scale, I'm going to scale it to 13 or 13.14. Doesn't really matter. So there we go. That's going to be nice and big for us. It's not going to be too large. Okay, so if you just press 1 to go back into front orthographic, you'll see it's underneath this red line. We need to change that. So what you need to do is just scroll in, and then press G followed by Z to move it up the Z axis, and then just move it around. Remember, you can use Shift to get the finer control. Just plonk it on top of the red line, click, and that was a left click of your mouse just to sit it down. Scrolling out, and you'll see, if you just imagine, that's one floor plan. I really should know what this is called. This is just one floor. I'm going to call it one floor. That's about 8 foot by 8 foot. So there is our barrier there. So we don't need the plane anymore. So you can right click on the plane and press X to delete. Yes, I'm sure. Now right click on the model, File, Export, DirectX, and you can just overwrite this. So if you just double click it or click it and then go to Export, and it's done already. It's, like I said, it's pretty fast. So that would have overwritten the one you've just put in. So that little thing there is not going to be there for much longer. Click on the FPSC entity, put my teeth back in, entity import. So you go to desktop, tutorial files, concrete barrier, open. There we go. That's about the size we wanted, which is good. Now, in FPSC Classic, what I would do is I would apply the texture. What am I doing? Tutorial files, textures, direct draw, diffuse. There we go. I would apply this texture and then I'd click on save and I'd name it and all the rest of that jazz. But for this, I'm not interested. I just wanted to see the scale. So now that I know this is the correct scale, I know I can use this. So what we need to do is, where's it gone? Concrete barrier. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to get these textures in. So we need to click on U and then hold Control, Normal and Specular. We need to Control C to copy them. Go in here, Control V to paste. Now, these textures need to be named exactly the same as what this is called. So if we just click on it once and press F2, or click slowly and then click a second time, it'll do that. Or right click, rename. Again, there's loads of them. Just with that highlighted concrete barrier, not the .x, just concrete barrier, Control C to copy. And now what we need to do is rename these. So just highlight that diffuse bit where it says that, Control V, and because this is a diffuse, it's _D. And again, rename this one. This is the normal, so Control V to paste in the name of it, _N for normal. Enter, and again this is specular, so I'm going to give you a guess as to what I'm going to put here, _S, that's right. I think they have to be capitals. I always do, just as good measure. I've never tried it with lowercase, I don't know if it doesn't work, but I always do it as capitals. Now, what we do need to do is copy this diffuse texture. So you press, with that highlighted, Control C, Control V, and then we just need to get rid of that copy bit, and just next to the D we need to put a 2. Enter. That's the textures done. That's all we need to do for the textures. They're all done. The model's there, the textures are there. It's a good start. Okay, you'll see I have the shortcuts to my FPS Creator folders here. Obviously you can just go into File, Computer, Local Disk, Program Files, yada yada yada. I got bored of doing that because I make so many models and changes and whatever. I just put a shortcut on my desktop. Double click into that. Files, Entity Bank. Now what we need from here is just a standard entity that isn't animated, doesn't do anything fancy, it's just there for being their sake. And I would say furniture. Let's go for bed camp. Okay, so there's the bed brackets camp.fpe. We need that FPE. Right click, copy, close it down. We don't need that anymore. Inside here we need to paste the FPE. So there we go. We need to rename it to be the same as concrete barrier. Everything to be associated with this model has to be called the same thing, just with its own file type afterwards. So again, I'm going to copy this name. I mean, you can type it if you want. The only reason I copy is just to ensure that there's no spelling mistakes across any of them. It's the simplest mistake to make, and it's the most infuriating thing, because sometimes you don't even realise you've spelt it wrong. Paste that in there. Okay. Now, inside the FPE, I don't know how many of you have seen inside these. Oh, you might need FPI edit pad. Let's have a look. I've got this simply from the TGC forums. I'll quickly try and wise through. I will put a link for you as well, so you don't have to do this. I think it's you. Downloads, files. I will put a link to this, don't worry, you don't have to do this. FPI edit pad, and it's there. Download that. It's fantastic for scripting. It points out any spelling mistakes, any sort of syntax errors. It's really, really good. So, with that being said, I've opened this up, concretebarrier.fpe. If you haven't got this, it'll just open in Notepad. Again, it's not an issue. You don't need to have FPI edit pad. I just find it helps. So, with that being said, you open it up and you'll see semicolon header description. Don't worry, there's no coding happening here. We're not going to be getting into coding. So the description is the name of what it is. Okay, so we need to highlight that and press Control V, because concrete barrier should still be selected. Again, everything needs to be called that. Now this is where the textured points to what texture it is. So we need it to point to concrete barrier. So if I double click on camp bed, it'll highlight that, and you can just press Control V, and there we go, it's highlighted, it's called it that. Now the effect is Reloaded Entity Basic. We don't need to change that. That's fine. That's just the basic shader for a standard entity. Now the model is obviously the DirectX model file, which is that one there. We just need to click, highlight all of that, Control V, paste that in there. Perfect. Now these things are usually pretty indestructible, so I'm just going to say strength of 0, which basically means it's indestructible. If it has 0 health, it's indestructible. We don't need to change anything else. That is all we need to do. It seems scary, I can imagine, but it's not scary. You just need to change the name, what the texture's called, what the model's called. That's it. As long as everything in here matches up with everything here, you're onto a winner. Click Save and close that down. We don't need that anymore. One other thing we do need, so it appears properly inside the editor, is a bitmap file of the actual model itself. Now, one fun and easy way of getting this is you just jump back into Blender, and with your model you scroll in nicely, and you'll see, like I said, this is in orthographic view. You can get it into perspective view, which gives it a much more realistic look, and you can do that by pressing 5 on your numpad, or I can imagine it's down here. Cameras. There. View, perspective, orthographic. Yeah, you just press that. Press it again. It gives you that. So anything that's close to the camera appears bigger, which is cool, which is what we want. So you want to get your model into a cool view. I don't know what you might want it like that. You might want it like that. I don't know. You might want it from top down. I quite like the look of that. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Ooh, one other thing. We do need to apply the scale. No, we don't need to apply the scale. That's all right as it is. No, it probably isn't actually. So in order to apply the scale, it's Shift. No, it's Control A, scale, and you'll see this goes down to 1. We could probably do with exporting that again. Export DirectX. Just click on the concrete barrier. Export DirectX. There you go. It's overwritten it. That wasn't difficult. That's just applied the scale of 1111. So you're not going to get any scaling issues anywhere. It's all right. Everything's hunky-dory. No need to panic. So what we need to do is get a good image of this. Now what you could do is set up a camera and lights and make it look all funky. However, this is just going to be used for a 64 pixel by 64 pixel image, which is essentially that big. So you don't need to make it look cool. Just as long as you can work out what's going on, that's fine. So in this properties panel, which is the N panel, this one here, what we need to do is come down to display, which is above the background images and shading and whatever. So click on the little down arrow on display, hit only render. It removes anything else that we don't need. What we're going to do is a simple print screen. So all we're doing, print screen. Fire up GIMP, press Control V. Huh? That's not right. I've already done that one, you see, so I need to print screen again. Print screen. That should be saved to my clipboard now. I don't know why it's doing this. That's relatively annoying, actually. Anyway, no, I can't leave it like that. Stupid Blender. What I'm gonna do, you should just be able to print screen. I've just been through and sort of tried to work something out. So what I'm going to do is that. File, save as, desktop, capture.png, that's fine, go away. Okay, not interested. So, what I'm going to do is, there it is, if I close that one down, close, go away. I don't know why the print screen isn't saving to my clipboard, that's very annoying. However, you will end up with something like this. Obviously you'll probably have the rest of the screen in the background. All you need to do to get rid of that is go to this knife tool, or crop tool, sorry, the one that looks like a little sort of not a Stanley blade, a craft knife. Okay, so what we need to do is just literally drag a box around the selection you want, go into tool options, and what I'm going to do is just make these two identical sizes so it will scale properly. So 620 by 620, that's fine. And now pressing, oh no, that didn't work. I pressed M to go into move tool, it's just automatic. Silly boy, 620, 620. So with that being said, you want to move it so it's nice and central, and then just literally click inside it, and there we go. Now one thing we can do is remove this grey background. If you really want to, I don't know, it might look alright. I'm going to remove it, and to do this, usually there's a little tool up here. I don't usually have it there, so all you need to do is just press U, and it brings in this magic wand. Just click once anywhere on the grey bit, that's fine, and just hit delete. So it's given it a transparent background. We need to add a white background behind it, so right click, new layer, okay, drag your barrier layer above that one, because this is going to be the background, and with white selected, get your paint tool, your bucket tool, sorry, and just click anywhere, there we go. Now merge these down, so it's right click, either go to merge down or press W. So there we go. Now what we need to do, like I said, the bitmap image that's used is only 64 by 64 pixels, so file, new, change that to 64, tab down 64. Okay, advanced options, we don't need any. Okay, that's how big it is. So this should open up another tab like this. Click into here, Control A for select all or select all, and then Control C for copy or edit copy, I think. Yeah, edit copy. And then Control V or edit paste. It's there. So press M to use your move tool. Move. Drag this area down so it's just on the corner of the image, and scroll in. You'll see why in a minute. Scroll in and then just drag this right into the corner of the image. Scroll out so you can see this. And then with everything like it is, press Shift T to scale. Make sure you're locking to constraints so both sides change at the same time. Highlight that one and change it to 64. Press Tab and it will change that one as well. Scale, and there we go. The reason we put it in the top corner is GIMP always scales to the top left hand corner. So rather than dragging it around and then try and drag it into place, I just drag it down immediately, get that top corner situated where I need it to be, and then scale, and it just drags everything up to meet it. Okay, so you can either right click on that and anchor layer, or there's a little anchor icon here. So that is the bitmap at 100%. That's what it's going to look like. I'm quite happy with that. So we need to go to File, Export, click on Concrete Barrier. Now what I'm going to do is something strange here. Just don't get confused. Don't overwrite this image. Click on this image once. Not twice, because otherwise you'll overwrite it. Once. Click up here and delete everything after Concrete Barrier. Once you reach the end of the words Concrete Barrier, .bmp, .bitmap. Hit enter. Yeah, these settings are absolutely fine. Export. There we go. That just ensures that everything is named the same. So there we go. You should have 4 texture files, 1 model file, 1 FPE, and 1 bitmap file. Okay, now these should all be inside this folder. What we need to do is drag these into the entity folder of FPS Creator Reloaded. So we need to go into here. As you can see, mine's in computer, local disk C, program files, the game creators, FPS Reloaded, and then you'll come up with this. So you need to go to Files, Entity Bank, and then just literally drag this in here like that. Yep, overwrite. I've already done this, you see. Move and replace, that's fine. So then all we need to do is start up Reloaded. This takes a while. Come on. Yep. So, come on. Where's the floor? There's the floor. Let's scroll into the floor. Hello, floor. Add new entity, and you'll see our folder is here. Concrete Barrier. Should be an image there. I don't know why there isn't. I can work on that in another tutorial. So, let's press enter. Now the floor's not very straight. Let's level that off. We need a straight floor for this, don't we? Concrete Barrier. Press enter to make sure it's on the floor, and click. And then you can just hold shift and R, just tap R whilst holding shift, and you do the smallest little increments. Tap R. And there we go. Here we have our Concrete Barrier in Reloaded, and you're thinking, oh Jay, I want to see what it looks like. Okay, let's see what it looks like. There we go, there's the Concrete Barrier. You'll see it's still not quite big enough to my liking, but there's collision on, I can't walk forwards past it. you'll see the specularity just on the concrete. Looks a bit wet, really, but that can obviously all be changed. Ooh, I've never done that before. Press and hold C. Everything's looking quite nice. So yeah, there's a little concrete barrier wall for you. Right, well, that pretty much wraps this entire tutorial series up, guys. If you would like to see me model anything else for you guys to get into FPS Reloaded, leave a comment or send me an email, or if you've got any questions or queries or need any help, you can always send me an email. Again, just leave something in the comments. Okay, if you liked it, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Yeah, thanks for watching.